Welcome to Torch's Coach Connect. I'm Jasmine, one of the content marketers here at Torch. And each month we are highlighting one of our amazing coaches to introduce them to our community and highlight their story and their insights to future leaders. And today we have with us Monica Staco, one of our amazing Torch coaches. So welcome, Monica.
Thank you, Jasmine.
I'm very excited to have you. One of the first things I wanted to start off with is in your highlight, we wanted to touch on one of the things that comes up a lot for you in your reviews from clients, which is that you are radically driven and deeply empathetic, which is actually one of the values here at Torch. So I wanted to first start off with my first question, which is, what does it mean to you to be radically driven and deeply empathetic? And before you sort of dive into this question, I wanted to preface it with, something that I know to be true, being raised here in the United States, is that the phrase radically driven can mean many different things. And some folks think that can look like pulling 12-hour days, and working to the point of a breaking point. And on the flip side of that, we have people who are deeply empathetic, but it can sort of cross this line of maybe embodying pity sometimes, right? Or sometimes when somebody's sharing something that is challenging, we can want to relate to them, right? And so in wanting to relate to them, we somehow turn it back onto ourselves instead of being with the person who's going through something challenging. So I just kind of wanted to preface that as something that was coming up for me when I was thinking about this value, and turn it over to you to hear what it means for you.
Yeah, well, thank you. So when I hear the word driven, I think I've always been described as driven, having shifted my career from a corporate career to a coaching career. It's like the word driven is part of who I am. The other thing, as you mentioned, being raised here in America, well, I was born and raised in Haiti, and I've often seen myself as having this depth in who I am and in my culture and the vibrance. See the color I'm wearing? It's vibrant. So the vibrant color that is part of who I am. And I felt that coming in America and being in the corporate world, to a certain extent, I had to tame it down a little bit. So radically driven to me, it's like, okay, now I have the permission to be Monica fully, with the boldness, the say what's on your mind, and say what's on my mind, with knowing that I have a purpose. And I've gotten to the depth of understanding my purpose in life is to contribute, to be with others and contribute. So when I'm driven, when I am fully myself, I give others permission to do the same, to be themselves fully. So talking about empathy with the idea of being driven, it's allowing myself to take a step back and look at what's going on with you right now. So when someone is having a difficult time, for me to also step back and watch what's going on with this person. I don't necessarily have to quickly go fix, solve, do, which I was used to in my corporate career. Let's jump in and find a strategy and find a solution. But now as a coach, it's more so, okay, what do you need? You just need me to sit here, look at you and be quiet? Okay, that's what you'll have, because that's what you need. So I find that the empathy piece brings another layer of myself to the table, like my heart, so to speak, with the drive at the same time.
And I would imagine that your clients, right, just in experiencing you helping set their goals, but then also practicing deep listening, that they're learning just by watching you do what you do, right?
Exactly.
Leading by example.
Exactly. And I invite them, I tell them, you can repeat that. You can do it with your team. You can try this unsupervised. You don't need me.
Do you see within your clients, do you see that there is a trend either way of folks having more challenges with being radically driven or more challenges with being deeply empathetic? Do you see that they are challenged in one way more than the other?
Um, I have to say the empathetic
Mm,
seem to be more of the challenge because many of my clients are in the corporate world where it's okay to drive, drive, drive.
mm,
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're driven intrinsically. It could
right.
be more so from an outer perspective. However, they could quickly understand how to make their drive work for them. But that being really having adding empathy, and you add that with the word leadership, people are not clear. What do I do with that? Do I divulge all of myself? Do I tell my underperforming employee, oh, okay, I get it? It's like,
Mhm.
no. So, how to create that bridge? I find that that's the most challenging for a lot of my leaders to understand that you can still have a lot of empathy in your heart and still be firm and accountable and hold your team accountable if they're not performing because you're running a business. Let's keep our eyes on the prize. That's the drive, right? Like, let's stay
Right.
focused.
Right. It's such a delicate balance, right? Between the
Exactly.
drive and the empathy. And it's something that, most of us are not taught. It's a true skill of emotional intelligence.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yes, that's what I noticed. But thanks to, I have to say, Brene Brown, who talks a lot about vulnerability in the workplace. So more of my clients are open to it, but yet the concept is it's still at a high level intellectual
Hmm.
level. They're still not understanding what does this mean in actuality. And this is what I do with my client. Like today, two of my clients, that's exactly what I worked on. Like you can still be accountable and yet show empathy, meaning you understand that the person is struggling, but also you make it clear that this is where we're going and this must happen. So how can we work together? And here's your part and here's my part.
Hmm.
How are we going to make sure that we both are moving in the right direction?
Right. And sort of taking on it sounds like too, there's an element of, as a leader, if you're dealing with a direct report who's going through a challenging time, to make it connective, right, in the sense of like, we're in this together. I'm here to support you and here to
Exactly.
plan to move forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I want to get into our next question, which is a fun one, which is, what do you enjoy most about being a coach?
Yeah. So what I enjoyed the most, I think, those moments where I hope it doesn't sound creepy, but essentially I'm like witnessing. I step back and I witness my client unfolding, either through an aha moment where the connection is happening, or even through a difficult situation where they start connecting to their emotions and see what it means for them. So I don't necessarily tell them what it is, but they get it. So for me to witness that, that's like, wow. It's a reminder of that's what's precious about the job that I do, and remembering that, hey, we're humans here having experiences here every day, every moment. And I get to witness, could be challenging moments or moments of celebration. And I get to witness that happening in a moment.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I mean, you're witnessing the power of potential and transformation.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes my day. I'm like, yes. And I do that sometimes with my client. Yes, yes, come on. They know me. I say, well, we're gonna celebrate. So we're gonna take a moment. I'm gonna be a little bit animated. Oh my God, you just did this. And they're looking at me like, what? I'm like, no, you don't do this enough. So let's do
Yeah.
it again.
Yeah, that's
That's
so
important.
important. Yeah, to
Right.
bring in the celebration, to bring in the joy, to bring in the recognition instead of just being like, oh, I can check that off my list, to actually, yeah, embrace
Right.
it more fully.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for our next question, I wanted to know, in the US right now, we are getting into election season. And I know that it can be a very charged time for a lot of people, and a lot of folks are having difficult conversations within the workplace. And so I'm wondering, what advice do you have for leaders right now?
Hmm. This is a moment. I mean, I, I think elections are a time where you take the time to think about what matters to you.
Mm.
It's so easy to criticize. However, what people fail to notice and learn is that we're all contributing, whatever situation. Even if you're at work and you don't like a situation, by not saying anything, you're still part of it. So I would tell my leaders, like, election time, it's a time where pause, reflect, what's important to you? What has bothered you? I don't know, in your neighborhood, in the state that you live in. Think about that. So what do you want to see different? So
Mhm.
it's like, it's not just politics that's out there for politicians. No, we're all part of it. And I tell my leaders, take a moment, think about what's important to you. What are your values? And decide what you want to do. Vote or not vote. I say vote because it's truly a privilege. I come from obviously a third world country where I take it seriously. I didn't always have voting meant that you take a huge risk because there's a lot of political instability, and if you can make it to vote and come back home safe, that's huge. But
Mm.
so to me, I cherish the opportunity to have my voice being heard
Mhm.
and exercise my duty of, hey, I'm an American, and this is what I contribute to society. So, and when there's politically charged conversations, I say this is an opportunity where you get to know your colleagues.
It's an opportunity for all of us to get curious, right? Because voting at the end of the day is very much in relation to people's own individual experiences and their priorities. And if we can stay open and get curious, we may be able to find the bridges, right, of the things that
Exactly.
we both value.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Monica. It was really great to connect.
Thanks.